Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Buenos Aires in Argentina. Definitely can't see the whole name of the country there. Argentina. Now, a quick note about the administrative division going on here, because you probably noticed that this also says Buenos Aires. This is Buenos Aires province. This is the city of Buenos Aires, Ciudad de Buenos Aires. Now I have this city under C for Ciudad de Buenos Aires. But the province is also named Buenos Aires. There's a reason for that. It's in the history. You'll talk about it. But I don't know. Doing my research, I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to have two videos titled Buenos Aires, Argentina, History and Geography. There's no way. I'm going to just combine the two. So we'll be talking about both the autonomous city here and the province. Just know that they are separate, but they have the same name. So the regions that we have in the province here, it's kind of split in four-ish. There's the northern region up here, the Delta region, the Atlantic coast, and this southwest area here. So the first three that I mentioned are pretty much part of the Pampas, which is a huge area of South America, spreading down here from southern Brazil through Uruguay into Argentina. The Pampas is very famous for its cattle herding. Kind of think of it as like the prairie in the United States. It's wide stretch, open area, low-lying, so on and so forth. So that's the Pampas. Down here we start to enter more Patagonia-style territory, where it gets much more rocky, higher elevations, things like that. But, I mean, it's not like officially Patagonia area, because that's much farther south, but it's getting close to it. There are some pretty big cities in Buenos Aires province. Tigre, for whatever reason, is not on the map. It's about just north here of Buenos Aires. La Plata is the capital of the province. We're also going to talk about Mar del Plata, which is a really beautiful seaside resort city, and Bahia Blanca over here, another port city. Very much like Buenos Aires is a big port city, so I just found it. And I think that's it for geography. We'll look at geography more on Google Earth. It's a lot more easier to kind of tell the difference. Oh, and you can also see the big straight line here. Over here. And you know what we say about straight lines on my channel, right? Say it with me if you know. Mother Nature does not make straight lines, right? If you see a straight line on a map, you know that that is not a natural border, it is a man-made one. And 9 times out of 10, when there's a man-made border, that means that there's nothing there to distinguish one side from the other. It's political. So that gives you a good idea of the landscape there. This whole area here is farmland. It's all farms. These are all farming communities and farming central cities. And of course, since it's Argentina, it's mostly ranches for beef, because they gotta have their asado, right? But, I mean, there's lots of agriculture happening, but know that it's mostly things like ranches. We have 2 UNESCO sites, one in La Plata, one in Buenos Aires. Let me grab my tablet, unstick myself from the map, and talk about them. So this is the first one. It's in the city of Buenos Aires. It is the ESMA, ESMA Museum and Site of Memory, former clandestine center of detention, torture, and extermination. Of course, we'll talk about that more in history, but if you're like, whoa, what? We'll talk about the Dirty War. This property is located within the complex of the former Navy School of Mechanics in Buenos Aires, in the former officers' quarters. This was the Argentine Navy's principal secret detention center during the civil military dictatorship of 1976 to 1983. As part of a national strategy to destroy armed and nonviolent opposition to the military's regime, the officers' quarters building at ESMA, the Escuela Superior de Mecánica de la Armada, was used for holding captive opponents who had been abducted in Buenos Aires and interrogating, torturing, and eventually killing them. Now, we're not going to look at this on Google Earth, and that's really just because the pictures here are better than the ones on Google Earth, in my opinion. There's this beautiful exterior with pictures of those who disappeared. Beautiful art, of course. This is really haunting, the pregnant women room, and it's just like 4 white walls. That's really haunting. The hood room, that's incredibly ominous. The storeroom, which you can see there's more displays there. The basement room. The Golden Hall room. I mean, you can see it's a cafeteria, but that's a really ominous name as well. But yeah, Memory, Truth, and Justice Square. Video room there. Night of Museums, having a museum party. There it is from above. I think that's it. Yeah, the pictures on Google Earth are not as good as these, so we won't look at it when we head over to Google Earth, but that's not because we're diminishing it or anything. The other place is in La Plata, and it's part of the architectural work of Le Corbusier, an outstanding contribution to the modern movement. Now, there are like 100, so there's like 20 of these houses that are UNESCO site. So we're only going to be talking about the one, but we'll look at it. It says, chosen from the work of Le Corbusier, the 17, there's not 100, there's 17. The 17 sites comprising this transnational serial property are spread over 7 countries and are a testimonial to the invention of a new architectural language that made a break with the past. They were built over a period of a half-century in the course of what Le Corbusier described as patient research. The Complexe du Capitole in Chandigarh, in India, the National Museum of Western Art in Tokyo, Japan. This is the one, the House of Dr. Cruchet in La Plata, Argentina, obviously, what we're discussing tonight. And the Unité d'Habitation in Marseille, in France, reflect the solutions that the modern movement sought to apply during the 20th century to the challenges of inventing new architectural techniques to respond to the needs of society. These masterpieces of creative genius also attest to the internationalization of architectural practice across the planet. As I'm recording this, UNESCO is hosting their annual conference, and they've appointed a bunch of sites, some of which I've discussed in the past year, like the Karnak stones, which I just did a video on. But I think for my channel members, I'll make a video going over all the new sites that they listed. The last day is like tomorrow. It's over by the time you see this, but to make sure they don't appoint anymore. All right, here we are. This is the house here. Really pretty, isn't it? I love this like floating door. And then this whole floor, the windows, it's really neat. There's a spiral staircase inside. In this case, the photos on Google Earth are better than these. I think that's the only one in here. Yeah, so we'll look at it on Google Earth because it's really pretty from the outside. I lost it. It's really pretty from the outside, but oh, here's an interior shot. These like concrete ramps with the tree going through. It's really like a beautiful like art piece that you can live in. We'll look at it on Google Earth. All right, let me slide this over, and we'll get into the history of Buenos Aires province and the city of Buenos Aires. Why do they have the same name? My question is, why didn't they change the name? Why wasn't at least one name changed? You'll see why they're the same, but I think they should have, that's my opinion. It would have made my job way easier, but let's get into the history here. Of course, there was a massive indigenous culture that lived throughout this area. I mean, this is the largest province in Argentina. There's multiple different cultures all throughout. But I mean, the real meat of the history is not going to start until the Europeans first arrive, which of course signals the end of indigenous lifestyle here. But the first Europeans arrived in 1516, sailing up here, thinking that this was a river. And they called it the Rio de la Plata, the Silver River, right? It's not a river at all. It's like a really large bay, but it's still called that. Why don't they change that name? I don't know. The first Europeans that sailed up here were attacked by the indigenous peoples. I think the captain was killed during that. Kind of a sign of what was to come for the first settlers here. Buenos Aires was first established in 1536 and it lasted until 1541 when it was abandoned due to indigenous attacks on this settlement. And it would eventually be reestablished in 1580, and this time it would stick. I think at that point the indigenous population was getting worn down by exposure from disease. Eventually, by the 1880s, they would be chased out very famously in a government movement to abolish indigenous peoples here. But moving on. This area was not doing that well in terms of the other Spanish colonies here in South America. Of course, Peru was popping off. Colombia, Venezuela were popping off. This area, not so much. It was much farther south. Spain had this deal with their colonies that they could only trade with Spain, so there wasn't a lot of diverse revenue coming in. So it really was not much until Spain was reorganizing things. The Bourbons were reorganizing these territories here, and they created the territory of Rio de la Plata and made Buenos Aires the capital of that. It had been part of the Viceroyalty of Peru before. Now it was its own thing. They were allowed to trade with other countries. Really started to build up the community here, and of course the farmland around it. In the early 1800s, during the early chaos of Napoleon's nonsense over in Europe, Britain had some pretty clever ideas to sneak attack some of Spain's territories, and they attempted to invade Buenos Aires twice in the early 1800s. And both times the city managed to fight them off. And I'm pretty sure that gave the people here a lot of spirit and a lot of drive that if we can fight off the British, we can probably fight off the Spanish. So once Napoleon's nonsense reached Spain, he took over Spain, made his brother king of Spain. The people here were like, this is the perfect opportunity. In 1810, a military junta took over the city. It was known as the May Revolution, and thus began the independence war between Buenos Aires and Spain, which Buenos Aires would win out by 1816. Moving down here to Bahia Blanca, this town was established in 1826. It was a fort to protect against indigenous attacks, and also the Brazilians, apparently. We've got to watch out for those invading Brazilians trying to claim more and more land. That was the thing with South America in the 1820s, 1830s, was that the lines were not permanent. All of these areas were brand new countries trying to puzzle piece their way into this wild land here. And Brazil definitely overstepped a couple times. So I imagine that, make sure that the Brazilians don't sneak in and try to claim more land that they definitely didn't need. Brazil had enough. But anyway, with independence, though, would come a lot of political strife, which would eventually lead to a full-out civil war. That lasted quite a while until like the 1850s, 1861 is when it would like officially end, I believe. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that's it, though. During all of that, though, Buenos Aires declared itself independent in 1852. The state of Buenos Aires was pretty much this whole coastal area here, and they declared themselves separate from Argentina. That led to some conflicts politically and militarily, and eventually both sides agreed to reunite there in 1861. In 1880, Buenos Aires separated itself from Buenos Aires province. So this whole area was all one big Buenos Aires. The city removed itself and kept the name. That's what I'm like, why couldn't they just change the name of the province? But, oh well, no one asked me. They needed a new capital of Buenos Aires province, so in 1882, the city of La Plata was founded. It would be a planned city. They planned it to be like Washington, D.C., all laid out, all pretty and methodical, which you'll see on Google Earth. It's planned very well. During this time, in 1874, Mar del Plata was founded. Its original owners thought it would be a good little seaside escape, so its origins were in the resort concept. It's still that today, very much so. It reminds me of the equivalent in the States here would be like Atlantic City. I think the equivalent in the UK would be like Brighton, although this is much more Atlantic City. There's lots of casinos and things there. But yeah. Plata's founded, and it was kind of around that time, the 1880s until the 1930s, when this area absolutely blossomed. Part of that was due to a huge wave of immigration from Europe. People from not just Spain, but France, Germany, pretty much every Europe, from Eastern Europe. A Jewish population came over. Eventually it would be Asian populations from Japan and China. It was a huge eclectic mix, and it was during this time that Buenos Aires evolved into the city we have today, in this gorgeous, beautiful architecture, European style, railroads, public transit, trams, things like that, and creating its own distinct culture with this mishmash of different peoples coming together. The Great Depression would really put a halt on that. What it really did was that many rural people needing more money would move to the city. The city started to sprawl out, but in sort of negative ways, right? That the living conditions were very poor. It led to someone like Juan Perón to become president, who fought for the working class, and his wife Eva, or Evita she's known, was just beloved in Argentina. She passed away very, very young. I actually did a biography on her. I will unstick myself and point up here. I'll link it up there so you can check out the biography I read about her. When she passed, I think Argentina was just never the same. Buenos Aires was definitely never the same. They actually got married in La Plata, and after she passed away, they renamed the city Ciudad Eva Perón. And that changed, though, in 1955. What happened in tides really turned for Juan Perón. There was a protest in the main square here in Buenos Aires, Plaza de Mayo. We'll look at it, of course, on Google Earth. A rogue faction of the Air Force bombed the protest. Disaster. It really sparked the movement that removed Juan Perón from power and created kind of a turbulent political scene in Argentina that would eventually culminate into the 1976 coup, which led to the Dirty War. Named so because of the dirty tactics that the military junta did to the population here. Like we read on UNESCO, many people were just disappeared. Many people were abducted if they were even suspected of anything treasonous. I think it's around 30,000 people vanished during this time, taken away by the government. There was a movement in Buenos Aires at the Plaza de Mayo. The mothers of Plaza de Mayo, the mothers of the disappeared, would gather with pictures of their loved ones saying, where did they go? Very powerful photos from that movement. But thankfully that ended. Argentina was on the up and up until about 2001, when the country suffered a really severe economic crisis. Some people lost pretty much like everything during that, and Argentina has been slowly but surely, slowly but surely recovering from that. It's been quite chaotic politically in Argentina, but not nearly as chaotic as it has been in the past. Not even close, right? So that's pretty much where we are today in Argentina. Due to this kind of whole coastal area being very low-lying, actually kind of like marshy, it's really prone to flooding, and there have been some quite disastrous floods along the coast here. The most recent from me filming this was in March 2025, which is the year I'm filming this here in Bahia Blanca. But, I mean, Buenos Aires is known, of course, for its asado, for its food, for its nightlife, for the tango. This is where the tango was invented here, and in Montevideo across here. Probably one of the more erotic dances, like partner dances. And known for the musical Evita. And just a gorgeous city. One of the largest cities in South America, just behind Sao Paulo in Brazil. It's beautiful. There's so many neat things to see. And so that is our history for tonight. So let's head over to the tablet. We'll take a look at the Buenos Aires city, and then we'll check out the province of Buenos Aires and see what we can find there, other than the farms, of course, and the ranches. Let's go take a look. Here we are in Buenos Aires province. You can see the city up here, its own thing, autonomous city. But let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are in the world. Here's beautiful South America. You can see from above the Amazon rainforest, the Andes Mountains. You can see Patagonia is really down here, stretching up here so that it's just starting to poke through. And here is the Pampas region over here. Look over here, because this kind of land here where the mountains here of Patagonia meets the Pampas, it reminds me, does it remind you of a place that we've looked at before? It reminds me of Russia over here. How before we've looked at, let's see, like over here, like this kind of land. It looks a lot like this, to me at least. All of this like scarred land here, which is definitely, I'd assume, from glaciers moving away, right? Siberia. This is Patagonia, where we have glaciers much farther down south nowadays, but you can definitely see the scars left behind as they retreated. At least I assume so, just by looking at this. You can see all the little lakes and things left behind. You can really see the farmland. Watch this, like, pew, look at all the farms. Look at all of them. Let's go like up here. All the little dotted lakes there, but if you look close, you can see all of the little patchworks of farmland. It's just, this entire area is all farmland. Isn't that incredible? All this agriculture. Pretty incredible. I think it's beautiful. I think farmland from above is like a little quilt. It's so pretty. You know what? I was going to start with Buenos Aires, but why don't we finish with it? Let's go through the province here, and we'll end up there. I'm going to start down here in Bahia Blanca. Just going to really look at the main slideshows here, because Buenos Aires is going to be the exciting moment. There's so much to see. It's a really pretty city here. I love this architecture. Isn't that stunning? Oh, that's such a pretty building. But yeah, big bustling city here. It's like whenever I'm like talking about a place, I'm like, oh, it's not a big city. There's no skyscrapers or anything. This is. Look at this. Goodness, it's so busy. And this is like the little town, right? Look at this art. Gosh, it looks like Expedition 33 art. She's gosh. Anyway, gorgeous building. Look at that. And pretty trees there in the neighborhood. But yeah, this is a big port area down here, as you can see, leading out into the ocean here. I think there's a naval base down here, if I recall. But my apologies to anyone who thought I would deep dive into these cities. My bad. Let's head to Mar del Plata. Now, there's a lot to see here. There's a lot going on in this town. Holy moly, there's a lot. So let's look at the slideshow here to kind of get the gist of it. Beautiful, beautiful beaches. And then there's all of these resorts along the... Oh, look at that. That's a busy day. This is a cool one. It looks like a castle. That's pretty neat. But yeah, it's all beautiful hotels, casinos, fun things to do. It's so pretty. Look at all this goodness. And again, this is the small town, right? This is a little town compared to Buenos Aires. I'm obsessed with this place. Maybe if I ever come here, that's the resort I would visit. The castle one. But yeah, I was poking around here, finding lots of neat little things, but look how big this city is. And this is the quiet seaside town. And it's massive, right? If you think that's like huge, you're not prepared for how big Buenos Aires is. But as we move along the coast, you can really see what I mean by it being really low-lying marshy wetland here. Look at all of this goop. All of this muck here. All marshy, all wet. Along the coast. There's tons over here. I was reading about a national park over here, but it's not popping up on Google Earth, so somebody's incorrect. But I would believe it. But let's move up the coast to La Plata. And I'm going to turn off all of the nonsense here so you can really see the plannedness of it. You can see all of these beautiful squares and like diamonds All these parks in the middle. Really pretty, right? It's really neat from above, I think. Of course, it all stems from this main area here, Plaza Moreno. Big plaza. And this is the biggest church in Argentina. Isn't it pretty? Big old cathedral. But yeah, this was all planned out to be just so. Oh, that's sweet. Let's take a look at the cathedral over here. Look how massive. Let's put it in 3D. Wow, it's so big. Cathedral or Catedral de la Plata. Come back. Thank you. There. Also neat, all of the roads are numbers. Avenue 51, Diagonal 73. You could never get lost. And it's a massive cathedral. My goodness. It's like rivaling like cathedrals in like Germany and France. It's so big. But it's so beautiful, isn't it? Wow. Look at the view. And again, this is a little town, right? This city is the small, quiet suburb of Buenos Aires. Look at that. There's a big park up here as well. Oh, this is the UNESCO house. I almost forgot. Let's take a look at it more in detail and think of it again as art. Not so much as just some random house. This is art. Because you can see this is like a regular house right here. And then here's the next door house. Look how open it is. Here it is at night. A little office room here. Looks like an old sewing machine, to be honest. Like a spinning wheel. There's those ramps leading up. There's like, I guess there's no stairs, it's ramps. You can see that there's a tree just growing in the middle of the house. Cute little kitchen. I love that blue. Out into the patio area, or the out, like I guess like the backyard garden area. There's the ramps going up. Really neat. There's the big tree. Look at this little room here. It's so interesting. UNESCO. An old photograph of it. Cool bathroom sink. That's neat. Look at this big old faucet. Storage area here. Beautiful sculpture. More displays for art and things. This weird chair. It would make me feel like I'm at the dentist if I sat in that chair. Ooh. Is this marble meant to be all dirty, or is it just weirdly black? It looks like dirt. Looks like it needs to be cleaned, but I love this blue. That's such a pretty color for a kitchen. But yeah, look at the design of this house. It's so open. Like, it feels like they just built a house but didn't put the roof on it. Pretty neat. Alright, time for the main event. Let's go to Buenos Aires, which here's the city. So yeah, the official city of Buenos Aires, you can see the border right here. Going this way. This is the city here. The rest is in the province. This is the urban sprawl coming out from it. All throughout. And we can see up here the Parana River Delta up here. Such a stark contrast. Here's Tigre between like this area and the delta, where that urban sprawl just stops, right? But let's head into the city. This huge, huge, huge city. My goodness. Absolutely massive. It's so big. My goodness. You just go forever and ever and ever, it feels like. It's so struggling to load everything. And then we finally hit the port area out into the ocean. We made it. Alright, well, we have to start at the Plaza de Mayo. There we go. This is the real heart of the city, where the city was founded so long ago. It's all sprawled out from here. You can see some of the beautiful European architecture here. It's really weird. I just covered Bucharest, and there's so many similarities between Buenos Aires and Bucharest. I'll show you a really funny one in a minute, but both cities get compared to Paris with some of the beautiful European, or like Western European style architecture. Like here, you know. Beautiful flag flying there, the sunshine, the sun of May in the middle. That's definitely French. But yeah, here we go. Yeah, and even like the lampposts are all pretty. Over here is the Casa Rosada, or the Pink House, where the president lives, like the White House of Argentina, or if you're in Korea, it's the Blue House. If you're in Argentina, it's the Pink House. Look how pretty. Oh, it's so nice. But yeah, like I said, they modeled, oh no, I'm thinking of La Plata. I was say they modeled the city after Washington, D.C. That was supposed to be something for, I was supposed to say before. Not now, but you can definitely see kind of like the D.C. influence, right? In a sense, mixed with like some South American traditional buildings, mixed with European. Pretty neat, I think. This is the 9 de Julio Avenue, the widest street in the world. A little slideshow for it here. You can see this beautiful obelisk. There used to be a church here, and this church was the first place the flag of Argentina was flown. It was also where it was officially announced that Buenos Aires would separate from the province and be its own thing. So since the church is no longer there, they've built the obelisk there to remember that important spot. And yeah, you can see just how absolutely huge this road is. B-A, Buenos Aires. It's a big one. It's a big, busy road. With all kinds of like little beautiful areas dotted throughout. You can see all the little metro stops and things. There's the obelisk. It's so weird in 3D. There's the obelisk. But yeah, it's like look at the lanes here. All the cars. It's so busy. It's where all the trams go by. The 4-lane road. And then the parking garage right there by the looks of it. It's so big. But yeah, the widest road in the world, according to Buenos Aires. Over here we have the Teatro Colón, considered one of the most beautiful opera houses in the world. It's one of the 10 best opera houses in the world by National Geographic. It is quite stunning. It's very European style, with all the beautiful paintings and statues and all the lights, stained glass, chandeliers. Look at that. It's just that it must reverberate with sound. There's a big orchestra there or an opera. It must be pretty incredible to see performance here. The acoustics look incredible. Oh, pretty. I like that statue. Alright, the other thing that is is very similar to Bucharest. When I was researching Bucharest, I kept getting recommended that I have to check out this bookstore that was in an old theater. And guess what? I also was recommended in Buenos Aires. This bookstore that's in an old theater. Look how cool. There's a cafe there on the stage. And yeah, you can go shopping for books here at this old theater. Just what are the odds that two places I did almost in a row have the same kind of attraction here? There's the kids section. And look at this on the switchboard to activate all the lights. Right there in the cafe. Pretty cool. Everything I read recommended that. One of the most famous sites in the city is La Recoleta, which if you've watched my channel, you know that I have an issue with graveyards and cemeteries, that I tapped on too many of them. And so Google Earth thinks I really, really want to see cemeteries and graveyards. So when I first started researching Buenos Aires and I pulled up the city, all that it recommended me was La Recoleta. It's like, you gotta check this out. If you love cemeteries, you gotta see this one. Because yeah, this is one of the most beautiful cemeteries in the world. I think we've got Paris, we've got New Orleans, and Buenos Aires. We don't want to look at that. We want to look at the actual cemetery and see all of these beautiful like crypts. Look at it. It's beautiful. It's like a little city. They're like little tiny houses, except people's remains are in them. Beautiful statues. Oh, here's Eva's. Vita's. We'll look at hers in a second. It's like the most famous gravesite here. Well, apparently we're looking at it now. Yeah, look at the beautiful artwork here. Oh my goodness. It's stunning. I imagine you would just spend hours and hours wandering this place, just marveling in all of the really beautiful structures here. Over here is Vita. Right, it is this one, right? It's not loading the name. Yes, this is her resting place. And the rest of her family. Really incredible sight. Look how big it is. And of course there's a church there, little park nearby. Actually, really big park nearby. All of this here with all kinds of museums. This is a really famous statue. This big shiny flower that opens up when it's sunny, closes at night, lights up all pretty. Pretty cool modern art there. It's like a real flower. Lots of other weird modern art things, but this one is the most famous. Oh, wow, museum there. So cool. We're going to move. Actually, before we head south, I want to look at. Actually, no, we are going to head south because I want to check out this area real quick. This ecological reserve, Costanera Sur, where it's this big, see all the swampiness here? This is what I mean by the swampy, wet coastline. Lots of beautiful art here as well, but this is a lot of what the coastline looks like here in Buenos Aires province. The big skyscrapers there. Ooh, there's a little friend. The coast. Big walkways. Kind of like the Everglades, but not as swampy, right? There's the city. Not as murky as the Everglades, but swampy nonetheless. It's really beautiful. Alright, I have to show you, I have to find it down here in Boca. Like the most famous site to see. I found a slideshow for it. Somewhere over here it'll pop up. Yep, Caminito, which is this gorgeous neighborhood where you can find every color in the rainbow painted on the sides of the buildings here. Extremely vibrant. And everything I've read is like, yeah, this place is a tourist trap. You know, don't like plan on spending a day here, but I think it's really pretty. Look at that. Look how pretty. I love all the colors. La Boca. It's also where we can find the Boca Juniors Stadium. I'm guessing that's it, actually. Is that it? I assume, yeah, Boca Juniors. I read that Buenos Aires has the most football teams, like, in a close proximity. They've got, like, between 10 and 20, I forget the number, but I think that's the most famous one, just from what I can tell. Now, there are, of course, 500 other really neat things to see. Lots of, like, museums. There's Mafalda. We saw her a second ago, but she's a comic strip character from Argentina. She's very headstrong and very progressive. It looks like there's lots of other little comic friends around here as well. There's all kinds of sights to see around Buenos Aires. So of course, as always, I'd highly recommend that you poke around yourself and let us know if you find anything really, really neat. Because there's so many cool things to see in this city. I've been having fun just like picking a random spot and then going 3D and just like sailing through. This is an incredible place. It's like a forest, isn't it? Goes on forever and ever, it feels like, until we reach the port. Oh, that's La Recoleta. That's the big graveyard. But yeah, absolutely incredible city. Wait, there's another obelisk at the hospital. Was that like a chimney or something? I assume so. I guess. But yeah. Buenos Aires. Beautiful, beautiful place. Let's look at just the slideshow of the city as we close out this video. I hope I remembered to show you everything I wanted to show you, because, goodness, there's a lot to see. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. We're actually going to another capital city tomorrow. We're going to the capital of Burundi, even though this place isn't technically the capital of Burundi anymore. Ooh. You'll have to find out what's going on. Oh, this is the Bridge of the Women. Yeah, you'll have to subscribe so that you won't miss tomorrow's video to find out what's going on with Burundi's capital city, because it's changed a couple years ago. You'll have to find out. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you're still awake, go ahead and do it now before you fall asleep. And let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good